What's up, everybody, and welcome to the LCS and the LCS waiting room.
We're just creeping on Jet.
Jet is in the shadows, the place where he feels most comfortable, as we know. This is Pastrytime's first ever waiting room. What's up, my friend? Welcome. And now,
That sounds like it hurt.
throw the timer in the corner, Pastry, and we wait.
Okay. I'm here chilling or what?
Yeah, it's just like 29 minutes
I like
of
this. This is great.
Yeah, it's like a meditation practice.
Ooh, I like that. Can we get some like soothing music?
Some soothing tunes.
Could be like a spa.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be nice, yeah.
I kid. We talk about all things LCS related here in the waiting room, so we're gonna pull you in for your takes. First and foremost, the lay of the land in the LCS. FlyQuest is #1. At 5-1. So for those of you at home who are maybe a little confused by the look of that standings graphic, a quick note: at the end of yesterday, our 5th and final game unfortunately had to be postponed until today due to some server issues. Overnight, league officials, as well as some really smart people, much smarter than any of the 4 of us, did a whole bunch of digging and were able to work alongside our tech teams to find a faulty network switch, which they were able to replace, and expect games to go forward today. We will end up having 6 games today with that EG versus FlyQuest game as game number 4 of the day. So kind of bonus game shoved right into the middle. Wanted to get that out there, let you all know what's going on. But FlyQuest, I mean, regardless of even if they drop a game and move to 5-2, this team continues to impress at the top of the table.
Yeah, I've been enjoying their team play. We've been singing their praises. Takui won the Player of the Week, and so like they've been getting their praises. Now they're gonna have an experience of World's group stage, the back-to-back.
Nice and early.
There we go. So that's fun. Already getting the reward. But no, honestly, like it's been great being able to see these players perform. I know Kumo's on the screen right now, and he's somebody that I came into this split expecting not very much at all. But he's actually been not only showcasing the creativity with the earlier Smite support top lane play, but then later on, his Tryndamere game was monstrous. And so I am now fully on board the FlyQuest train.
You're on board?
Yes.
All right, I'm glad you caught up to it.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where it's hard to quantify what makes FlyQuest so good, because so much of the things they do look like, oh, they're just like a good team. Like they work together as a unit, which is surprising for 5 players that didn't really have much experience. But I talked a little bit to Fantix, actually, one of the coaches on FlyQuest, who was a former OS pro. Really smart person. He's just like, I asked him, like, hey, why do you think this team's so good? And he's like, we just play a lot of League of Legends. Like, there is a culture of grinding at FlyQuest, and it's kind of showing up early because when you practice a lot, turns out you get better a lot faster, especially when your team is, needing to get together very quickly.
Well, interestingly enough, I think, I'm not sure if this is true anymore, but I know there are a bunch of Champions Queue like update accounts that keep tweeting out, and it's EG and FlyQuest. They're just up there like absolutely spamming EG.
Oh, EG, okay.
Absolutely like spamming Champions Queue. I also liked what Takui said in his interview with you yesterday, where he talked, like, he's like, oh, it's cliche, but like we all just get along together. So not only are they constantly grinding, but they also seem to have a really good team atmosphere.
Yeah, I feel like every time I'm watching Champions Queue after we head back home, and it's just literally constantly FlyQuest players playing. In fact, one of the Champions Queue games I was watching yesterday was, and remember, you can't duo queue yet.
Right.
But
just randomly getting placed in.
Yeah.
So like, you literally, the team was Aphramu and Johnson bot lane with Jose Diodo jungle. And you're like, okay, it's just like
3/5, baby, right
we're back
there.
in it.
Oh my goodness.
Another scrim.
That's amazing. I mean, yeah, there's definitely something to be said for that grinding mentality. That, in a weird way, though, you saying that, like, it made me go, ooh, is there a risk, though, of, like, going too hard, too early in a year? We always talk about burnout as an issue when it comes to esports and pro play in general. And that's always a concern of mine when I hear, oh, these teams are grinding really hard really early in the year.
Not with burnout, but something that's interesting that I've heard from a few players that will remain nameless is that, like, a lot of the times if you're trying something out in Champions Queue, because the pool of players is so small, you can't hide as much. So, like, if you were trying to hide something in a scrim or a pick that you've been practicing, you scrim with maybe your academy team or like try to keep it like closer together. But in Champions Queue, everyone kind of sees what people are trying out and spamming.
Okay, well, speaking of Champions Queue, I just got fed a fun little stat.
I'm ready for this.
Comparing some of the teams and the number of games played within Champions Queue. Cloud9, cumulatively, 80 games. FlyQuest, 400. 400. Over 400. Over 4. It was just clarified.
Okay,
Who knows
yeah.
where?
Yeah.
I don't know how far, but my God, that's a lot of League of Legends.
That's a
many
ton.
games.
Holy crap.
That's
okay.
a lot. Yep.
You also mentioned Golden Guardians and the clarification of all that. Funnily enough, that was the next team I wanted to talk about. But because of their performance yesterday, we've got Ablazeolive's tweet up on the screen here because it was such a big match for him. And Raz, I know you were one of the people that talked about the mid lane matchup going into it. Ablazeolive versus his former mentor in Bjergsen. Not only does he just get that matchup that he'd been waiting for a very long time, he wins it, and then we as a group of fans got gifted the greatest GIF along with it. Like every piece of that game yesterday delivered.
That's the literal Elmo gift. That's a beautiful one.
I love it.
And so, yes, I mean, I know for sure Olive would be like putting this on his calendar, going up against Bjergsen. Like he would, like he cares so much about like being able to perform in that game. And he did that and then some. Of course, everyone will notice the tick, like the green tick of being able to take the win. But the triple kill outplay that he was able to have in bot side river in that game, like he actually just performed, period, really damn well that game. And it's nice to see.
Yeah, you and I have a lot of experience with Nick. I coached a lot of Academy when he eventually became a champion. You obviously were coaching him when he was in Academy on Golden Guardians.
Raz, look at the man. He's talking to you.
This is a player where, like,
Camera's not
it's
on.
so,
I know the camera's not on. Come on.
it's so exciting.
Engage, my friend.
There's gameplay on screen. I can't look away.
They're showing the triple kill. Okay, I'm looking at you.
I gave you 10 whole seconds.
360 screens. It's only League of Legends. And he would tell me everything that went right in those games.
Yes.
Like, it's amazing the things he can absorb.
Yes.
But, like, this is a player we should all be super excited for.
I agree. No, 100%.
And you especially, coach.
Yes. Like, my favorite thing was coming into the scrim room, like, 30 minutes or an hour before, and he's just like, he would have the Google Sheets, all the matchups. Like, he would already, like, practicing, like, he'd be playing games early. So, he's very thoughtful about the matchups. He's very thoughtful about, like, what he has done right or wrong. I'm sure all these players are, but, like, it's great to be able to see that happen in that game and continuing to happen. Like, last year, Spring Split, washed. It wasn't the best for him. Summer Split, huge glow up, and I feel like it's only getting better from there.
Well, I feel like Golden Guardians as a whole, even in the games that they lost and kind of had very obvious like points in the game where they lost, they showed incremental improvement and like some really interesting runs of play.
Yeah.
So another thing I noticed yesterday is like their trading with TL was actually really good, and their set plays into what TL was doing were also like better set up than I'd seen them have, but you could track the growth of the team as a whole. So that was also just really cool to see from Golden Guardians.
I'm a big fan of teams that are a lot more thoughtful. If they don't think they can win a Rift Herald fight, if they don't have the setup first, just trade. And I mean, that's just something that people have been kind of yelling into the ether for a long time now. And I think a lot teams are doing a lot better around it too.
I've been told that Ablazeolive is hanging out there in Twitch chat. So what's up, dude? Good to see you.
Shout out.
Much love. Hey, he delivered me a win in the Bud Light League Lounge.
Oh yeah?
As well.
really?
Yeah, and some beer
Must
fights.
be-
He hard carried me.
Well, I
was
know
about to say
how
that.
good you are.
Okay, Emily. Unnecessary shots fired.
Hey, I'm just saying.
I'm
bring me on.
improving.
I'm good.
I'm improving. I want
saying
you on
I'm
the show.
good.
Yes, join me. Be on my team.
I
We'll
have
get
friends
you,
that can back me
and we'll
up.
put Raz on the other team. We'll put Raz on Tiger's system.
Nice.
I can take that down.
With Golden Guardians' big victory over TSM yesterday, it makes today's matchup between TSM and CLG all that much more interesting because they're tied in the standings. Yes, it is at the bottom of the standings, but these are two longtime LCS orgs that have had a long-standing rivalry, and it does feel like in some ways they're more evenly matched right now than they have been in a long time. This question, though, from Thomas, I thought was very interesting, considering they are tied in the standings currently. Which team is more likely to make playoffs?
Yeah.
More likely to make playoffs, is it going to be TSM or CLG? Does anyone have a thought? Both of them with one win currently.
I want to hear Emily's thoughts.
I know Dash was staring at me. He's like, okay, so I have to go first. We've talked, so I'm gonna lean CLG. Because we've talked about how this team has these like small runs of play that are really good, and when they are all working together, they can look very good in spite of their mistakes. It's really frustrating because Mark has brought this up several times in terms of their consistency, and it's not just like consistency in them coordinating, but also consistency in like maybe if one player has an off game and then the next time that player does really well and someone else has an off game. So I still want to think that they can get, if they get on the same page, they can take some wins off of some teams that are, you know, theoretically better than them. I would have said TSM previously, but then they did the whole substitution, and now I don't even know what's going on with that down the road.
Yeah, fair enough.
So they can always kneecap themselves, but I'd go TSM. I think TSM, they have, if you're talking about consistency, my mind immediately pictures, you know, their jungler, Spica. Like, Spica has just been incredibly good. Tactical, who's in front of you right now, is a monster. Like, I feel like they have individuals that are only getting better. Their best games have been their most recent ones. Even though they lost the Cloud9 game, that one was by far their cleanest first 15 minutes. And those are usually the hardest ones. Like, you know, it's a bit of a blessing that the one thing they have to look back on is just like the execution on their Baron turn, right?
Yeah.
As rough as that looked, like that one was actually a much better played game. Their analyst and coaching team, I think, is really strong too. So they have the tools, they have the pieces, they are technically getting better. They just need to take more wins. And I feel like it will come in time.
And remember, the question was, which of these two teams is most likely to make playoffs?
Yes.
Not what is the most likely result, which is that neither of them will make playoffs. That's what it's feeling like.
Exactly, right. And that is, again, and that's why I think it is, the phrasing of that question is wildly important. It also doesn't specify which playoffs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, now
That's actually
it's
cheating.
a semantical argument. I know.
Don't even do that.
I'm with you. Right, yeah, exactly.
You're not gonna
Everything
talk
changes
that.
when you start to get to summer. Do you have an inkling on which way you would lean?
More CLG, honestly.
Okay.
Like, this team, I just feel like their plans are a bit more consistent, and like I can see the framework in which they win.
Yeah.
Kind of like with Golden Guardians, where it's like, you're getting it, you're just like kind of messing it up in this section, but you can fix that.
Yeah.
CLG are like, I get what you're trying to do, you're just not executing yet. And if you do, I think the games are much easier for you.
And now that I've heard all of this, like, do I think, and I don't want to speak for all of us, do I think either of these teams will make playoffs in spring? No. Like, I feel like the teams above them, in even saying IMT, that it looked like they're getting better gradually, right? But Golden Guardians, Evil Geniuses, funny enough, is in that column. Like, they're all just better teams and are getting better at a faster rate.
Yeah.
So I would be looking towards like Summer Split, unless there is like a miracle run from them. And remember, we're at the halfway point.
Yeah.
So a lot can happen. And there would be a pretty drastic change from some of these teams to look good going into the next stage.
Look, I'm also in the boat of I don't think either of these teams are making spring split playoffs, but mathematically it's important to recognize there are only 2 wins out of that position right now.
Yes.
So it's not an insurmountable number, or a gap that they would have to close over the course of having just over a full round robin to do so, however unlikely. All this said, a lot of our focus here in the 10-year anniversary of the LCS has been taking opportunities to have historical looks. And with TSM and CLG playing today, it's important to note that they were the first ever LCS game to be played in what can be considered the modern LCS era. And here's a quick snapshot of what that studio and day looked like with that schedule. First one of the day, TSM versus CLG, Freak and Riv, at the helm of it all. But just even looking at those tricodes, right? Curse in there, Dignitas still a long time, right? DGU, Vulcan, which ended up going to Worlds.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
Vulcan went to Worlds, bro.
Yep.
Zuda was 80 carry. I'm sorry, production was just trying to talk to me. Can you repeat that? I didn't hear a single thing you just said.
Xmithy was there too.
Yep.
as
Yeah.
you're speaking.
They're reminding me we have some fun stuff, so we're going to be able to talk about this in just a moment. But we
Oh.
thought it would also be fun to walk down memory lane and take a look at the opening tease to that
Let's go.
OG LCS season. Let's take a look. Oh, we get to react in real time.
Oh,
Okay.
no, I've
Yes,
seen
yes,
this.
yes, yes,
I've
yes,
seen
yes,
this
yes.
multiple
I remember.
times.
boy.
Yeah, I remember
I've seen this
one.
multiple times.
I love it. You know, I'm a little sad that I wasn't a part of the LCS just yet because I would have loved to have been in the meeting where it was discussed the idea of this shoot.
Yeah.
Like, how do we make a bunch of gamers look really cool?
Yeah.
Let's have them run.
Ocelot!
Have them do
Yep.
a lot of running, a lot of inactivities.
A lot of
that
running
probably
through
don't do
hallways,
A
yeah.
lot of. I mean, honestly, when this came out, this was so cool. Though.
Yeah.
This was so cool, but it also, I think, paints a really good picture of like, wow,
Yeah, I know
how
that
far we've
PFT
come.
Wow.
Snoop,
Look
eh?
at all these
For
faces.
those of you at home, you might not
Yeah.
recognize some of these faces.
So this
right?
is an LCS ad, I believe, by the
This
way.
is
which
LCS
included
as a
EU
whole.
and NA.
EU, LCS,
Yeah.
and
That's what this
and
EU
NA.
Right, because
If
EG,
anyone's
exactly,
wondering.
Ocelot, yeah.
Snoopy's a good runner. Sends it.
But yeah,
Yeah,
this is-
Snoop A was in an action.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
what he was.
Oh my
lift.
God.
Elements. St. Fishes was in the earlier
Yeah.
shot as well.
Yeah.
We can work on some form here for a number of these guys.
At the time,
For sure.
At the
I've got
time-
some notes.
I love making the like palm, like the knife hands. Yeah.
Cut through
like,
the air, right? Aerodynamic.
Aerodynamics, let's go. That looked like someone was gonna trip.
The
At the
runner,
time,
the
this
runner,
was
in
really
me,
good.
the runner in me
I
is
feel like someone
struggling.
actually did trip there.
I
Reggie
enjoyed.
also looks like he's
I
tripped.
think someone
Yeah.
maybe got injured in this shoot. I have to confirm with people
I
on the
actually
features
think
team.
you might be
but I
right.
think
Jack,
that
you
might have
happen to
happened.
remember, did anyone get injured in this shoot? I feel like
I
we
don't
did
think
hear
so.
three. You don't think so?
No?
All
Okay.
right, fair enough.
Disappointing.
Who will rise? There it is, season three's
Season
here.
3.
Do you know where that was?
Where was that?
Galen Center.
That's at the Galen Center.
Yeah.
Okay, where season 2 Worlds was, and ultimately season 3 quarters,
Was famous-
and maybe semis was also there. If I
Was-
remember.
Famous tech pose.
Or
in
actually,
League
semis
history.
was there. Quarters.
Yeah,
was-
definitely not cursed.
That is where the infamous 8-hour-long pause came in.
And that's where Silver Screws?
Correct.
What I want to know is, was this also the season teaser? Like, was this the LCS teaser
That
and
was-
the season opening
Ooh.
for the?
I do remember that was
competitive
one of
season?
I think as Pastry
I
was
don't
saying,
remember.
like this was very much just kind of like LCS is,
LCS
is
happening.
Yeah.
This is the
Uh,
first year it did ever.
Because it was
Yeah.
for both EU and NA.
Yeah.
Since you technically had right,
LPL
the
also
two different.
started their
Yeah.
league
Yeah.
officially.
I know, I
in
cost it.
2013.
See, look at that.
Yeah, there you go.
True.
How far we've come. It's just so wild to kind of look back at that kind of stuff.
Yeah, running form's much better now.
Running for
Yeah.
all of our players
worked
are much
on-
better at running nowadays. Than they
I feel
were
like
back
they also have like
I-
strength and conditioning
kinda-
coaches and
yeah.
like nutritionists.
Coaches
now
at
on
all.
That's
teams.
true. They've
Like,
all got.
This did not happen in season 2. Season
I
3.
feel like we should remake that.
Oh,
With
yes!
current,
Yeah.
with current LCS pros. Like, I think that would be. I'm going to pitch that in next week's
After Vulcan
story.
thing,
meeting.
you're
What
a
do you
little
think?
questionable.
Oh yeah, have Vulcan run too.
Oh no!
Let's see how that
Poor
goes.
guy.
His broke his
broke his
poor
foot.
broken ankle. Yeah, we haven't even talked about that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Vulcan broke his ankle
Feels
this
bad, man.
week.
Feels bad.
He says he's never doing physical activity again.
That's
I don't blame him.
That's it. At least, I mean, at least it wasn't a wrist, right?
Yeah.
That's the real terrifying thing, which
True.
is a weird.
That's why they don't play
anyway.
basketball. They play soccer. Because, you know, if the legs go out, it's good. You know,
Right,
they can still
exactly.
play.
Oh, Lordy. All right, moving along. This comment from Isaac here on Twitter. Arrow is playing this weekend for Immortals, and I am so excited. Again, I think there are a lot of people out there who might not even know who Arrow is for how many accolades and how long this guy's career has been. Emily's balling
I'm
up her
punching my
fist.
fist only because anyone who knows anything about me knows that I'm a KT Rolster fan.
Yeah.
And so I watched Arrow win in Busan with KT Rolster arrows, and then I was thinking they would go to Worlds,
Nope.
and they chucked it in the qualifier. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he's had such an expansive LCS history. We've already seen him with both Optic and Phoenix One, as you saw. He's an LCS, split MVP as well in that time that he's had here. So it's great to be able to see him back on stage in front of the LCS fans. Not in studio, but on stream, just being able to watch. So it's just great to be able to see that again.
Yeah, but again, LCK champion.
Yeah, MVP.
And an MVP of
Boom.
the LCS as well, right? Like this is a guy who's had quite the career already. Yes, disappeared from a number of people's radars to a degree, but that's why I'm excited to have him come back because we've seen that with a couple other players as well. And it does seem to be like, I don't know, if is 2022 the year, where the older, the grandpas of League of Legends reinsert themselves into the conversation. It seems to be happening to a degree.
Well, something that other people might not know about Arrow is like he was on Wildcard Gaming. He's also been more recently tearing it up in Academy. So like he's actually been playing really consistently well in Amateur and Academy for over a year now.
Yeah, I mean, the path to pro has gotten significantly better. So the fact that he can come back, prove himself in Amateur with Wildcard, and then in IMT Academy. Another example for somebody who's like, a quote-unquote LCS boomer, but is making their way back in a way is like Gamsu is another example of that, who's now on 100 Thieves Academy. Not playing an LCS yet, but like the path to pro has made it both easier for up-and-coming players and the players that want to see themselves back.
Pastry, I just want to get your thoughts on the move itself, though, by Immortals, because it does strike me the timing when we had just begun discussing about how Immortals was starting to find some footing, right? And so it feels a little odd to me, the substitution coming in, like, say, this week as opposed to a week ago.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons teams might want to use a sub, right? You might need to motivate a player on the main roster. They might have different styles. You might just like have a player's personality gel differently in a way that's good for your team or good against certain opponents. So it's hard to say specifically why they want this player. For me, the biggest thing with a player like Arrow returning, and this is true for all our returning players, a reminder, like, don't judge players from a couple get bad games.
Yeah.
And assume they're not good again. Because, like, the path back into the LCS is grueling. You have to go through, like, literal years and years. Like, even Ablazeolive, a player we are finally now talking about, he spent years in Academy before even getting a shot in the LCS, and it took a year from then to even get recognition. So it's hard, like, be nice to players. Like,
right.
It's way harder than you think to go through this system and actually find yourself in a starting spot. So even Arrow in this situation, being subbed in, that's great for someone with such a long, illustrious career.
Could not have said it better myself. Excited to see him out there on the LCS stage today, getting the game in. That's going to be it for Waiting Room. Pastry, thank you so much for joining us, friend.
Let's go.
I know you got some games to cast today, right? How many are you doing?
Doing
3 now.
Doing 3.
Oh,
you gained the game. All right, Pastry got gifted a game. We're going to roll that show up, and we'll catch you on the other side to preview game number 1.
Bye.
What's up, everybody?
Is that
Oh, there it is.
But
I've
you're
been here the
gonna
whole
do
time.
the-
I wasn't expecting your face. I was expecting my own face, and then I didn't see a mouth moving, and I got very confused. Wow, my whole flow's gone. Welcome to the LCS. Hello to everyone in chat. I heard that Ole popped in as well, so wanted to give a shout out to him.
He also had a fantastic game
They
yesterday.
have a fantastic game, and speaking of
4-1
players
in
coming
their
back
last
to the
5.
LCS, 4-1 in their last 5 as we take a look at the standings. Again, for those of you who might just be tuning in, yes, FlyQuest are at 5-1, as well as Evil Geniuses at 2-4 with one less game played than everybody else. That's because their game from yesterday got postponed to today, which brings us to our adjusted schedule for Saturday. 6 games ahead of us. We've got that EG versus FlyQuest game taking place in game number 4 of the day. So bonus game shoved in there before they each play their successive Saturday games in games 5 and 6.
It's a lot of games, Dash.
It's a lot of games.
Let's go.
I know, right? It's amazing how much different that graphic looks
It's like
when you
a
just
day
throw a
of World
6
Group
row.
stage.
Yeah,
It is,
exactly.
exactly. All right.
I mean, last year there were 8 games in a day of World Group
Those
stage.
were
true.
long days.
Yeah, so this is a
wild
short
one.
day.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
we shared in some very long days over there in Berlin. All right, well let's dive into it. We got Dignitas QNTMPAY up against Team Liquid to kick things off. TL, they lost to Golden Guardians, and the bot lane I think is where we're going to draw our attention because of the fact that Core JJ was subbed out. Eyla is subbed in for the weekend.
Yeah, and I think this one is interesting to me because I do think Ayla is a very strong support, and I think they're a very strong duo, but we just don't necessarily know enough about why CoreJJ is not playing. Not that we need to, but my imagination here is saying that they actually had very little recent practice time together, and it ended up being a pretty difficult game to play. They also played a very punishing duo with the Caitlyn Lux, where if you fall behind, it's just real bad. And they got hit by a couple hooks, and it was tough to come back from.
Yeah, and near the end of lock-in, Hansama made a point of talking about like just it's hard to keep focused or keep with playing with different supports and different bot lanes and all these things. So having to learn how different play styles between CoreJJ and Ayla have. And then just seeing that graphic of how often they've been swapping, I know in a sense like in lock-ins it was kind of consistent. But then when it came back to LCS, of course, you only just recently started to see games with CoreJJ. And then you're not even thinking about how often they've played together in scrims as well. So I would imagine that that's taking an impact as well in their play. And so losing that hard in the lane matchup, going up against Golden Guardian is quite surprising.
Yeah, citing personal reasons for CoreJJ and saying that he'll return in week 5. We're going to respect that, of course. And so while there's maybe a little bit of uncertainty still around the bot lane and how well practiced those two are together, that's where I think, Emily, you naturally then look to some of the more consistent and stabilizing members on the team to say, this is your time to step up that extra notch and cover. Santorin is going to be front of mind there.
Yeah, and Santorin is someone who I think has just played so consistently well, and then he hasn't received the pogs or the accolades necessarily because his teammates are also so good. But when I think of him as a jungler, I just think of someone who has such a breadth of experience and typically applies it to whatever he sees. So he's really, really good at tracking his opponents and then reacting accordingly.
And this is going to be particularly important against River. Like, if I think of these two junglers stylistically, of River, who's a jungler who ganks a lot and tries to surprise people, and then Santorin, who I think is, across the last 5 years, like, far and above more consistent than any other jungler maybe that I've seen, right? Like, just not even just in LCS. And also, working with him last year, he is so incredibly thoughtful about what can happen in early game and specifically what could go wrong. So it is just so hard to actually surprise him in a game with any type of like 3-camp gank. Like, he always knows what a jungler could be doing and communicates that to his laners. So in theory, he should be very good against River.
Yeah, that was just a small point on the end of that. It's actually so difficult to see a jungler have that kind of longevity and consistently, given how much the position change and also how much it relies on how well your laners and team are doing.
Yeah, I even wanted to challenge the idea about him like getting the recognition, because this is actually a really good start of the split for him individually. He has the most pogs on the team. Like, sure, it's spread around quite a bit amongst that team.
He has 2?
He has 2. He has the 2, the most. And I felt like he was vying pretty like sternly to get Player of the Week on the last one. I mean, Tukui ended up getting it, but Santorin had like incredible games in both of his. So like, this is probably just gut feeling his best start of split so far, where I haven't seen him fumble.
Yeah, that was a split vote on Player of the Week last week, so it is good to recognize that Santorin was definitely in the running. Just a couple minutes to go. Let's check in on Bjerg. Still good?
Still good.
Still good?
Still very good.
Pretty good?
Yeah, pretty
Really
fantastic.
great.
Thumbs up for me.
All right, thumbs up from Raz.
Yeah.
How many thumbs up over here?
1.5.
1.5 thumbs up. Okay,
He can still get back to old Bjergsen.
Can we do a half better over here?
I mean, if you're asking me to compare it to like peak Bjergsen, no, he's still not there. But like even in their loss yesterday, I thought he played really, really well.
Yeah, those stats are basically purely coming off of that game. Even though the team themselves ended up losing, fumbling a few fights, like he actually had a standout performance on a specific day.
Even in a loss, right? Quick temperature check on Dignitas, though, because this is a team that we've kind of waffled on. You know, at sometimes very excited by kind of the aggression that they've shown and the quality of teammates that can take, or teams that can take down, and then at other times they seem to just kind of miss the mark, Raz.
As a grand poet once said, they're slipping, they're sliding, and they can't get up. DMX. Anyway, so, they are on a slip right now, and the games are not necessarily going to get easier. Tomorrow, end of Super Week will be versus 100 Thieves, and by that point, they would have been on a 5-game slip, which is pretty absurd to see for this team who started off so strongly, not just in the beginning of the split, but in lock-in as well. So a lot of it just comes through I would imagine they're laners, but yeah, there's a large conversation to be had on Dignitas.
Well, I'm going to close this out with predictions and any final thoughts that you guys have along with them. So, Raz, since I'm over here already.
I'll be pretty quick about it. I think Team Liquid takes it. They're just a better team.
Alrighty, we got Team Liquid vote here. Jat?
Did say last week that I think TL is going to go 16-2.
So
They currently have 2 losses.
Yeah?
I need to predict Team Liquid. Just for the math.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to trust you on that
Yeah.
one. Emily?
I'm also predicting Team Liquid.
Also predicting Team Liquid. Team Liquid's across the board to kick off our 6-game day. We'll see if they can get it done and make Jat not a liar.
Yeah.
I thought they would have Core JJ this week. For what it's worth.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
Mark,
what- that's what you
Mark
said
was
about
making
Lock-in, and then
similar
you won.
excuses yesterday when it came to some of the big, strong statements he had thrown out midweek. And speaking of MarkZ, I believe he's standing by with Pastrytime to kick off the day.
Explain yourself, Mark.
There he is! That's MarkZ right there! You've already seen me. Come on, this is Mark. Everyone say hi, Mark. Hi, Mark!
Hi, Mark. Yeah, I'm with Jat about the whole. I thought Core JJ was just back for the split when I was like all aboard like
yeah?
the 16-2 hype train. So I am definitely couching my bet with Kobe. I'll see if I can wiggle out of it on the dive this week. Else, I'll probably be in cosplay again at some point this year.
You know, it's just the second best support in the LCS, according to the man you wanted in for Liquid playing the game. So yeah, I know. Big difference.
True, yeah, Ayla has been really good, but there's still a downgrade potentially, you could argue, between the best player in the league, which Core JJ often is in that conversation, with the second best support in the league. I think Ayla is really good. If you look at the problems that the team ran into yesterday in that loss versus Golden Guardians, I definitely don't think you can just chalk it up completely to there's no Core JJ here.
Yeah.
Obviously, Core JJ is a huge part in their wins. He's a little bit more aggressive in the early game. You heard Bwipo talking about that and just playing a faster-paced game, which probably does help in a TF game, which is usually a more fast-paced macro game.
Yep.
So I would like to have seen what that would have looked like with Core, but the team has other, things they have to work on.
Yeah, and I think for me, like, Golden Guardians just played well that game. Obviously, picking up a deserved win, even though it is kind of an upset. And it should still be smooth sailing. I don't think that game doesn't mean that Team Liquid still isn't the best team in the LCS.
It says nothing about them
No.
in the long term, no. I think it says more about Golden Guardians, potentially, that they can find these wins against top teams. On the flip side, Dig looking for wins against top teams is a big part of their story this season. They're 3-4. You saw that graphic that they highlighted, that they're on a bit of a slide right now, and they haven't beaten the top team since lock-in, when they were able to take down 100 Thieves, and then they still had a good showing versus TL later. And so I think that got a lot of people to buy in to Dignitas being legit in a series, being able to challenge the top teams. And since then, it's been this slow slide. And this week in particular, very difficult, playing top 4 teams across the board, now against Team Liquid. And it'll feel a lot better being 4-5 potentially, and having beaten one of those top teams versus 3-6 or something, and still having found no wins against top 5 teams.
Well, as you can probably tell, due to the crowd of people behind River's computer, there is a slight tech delay on stage. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Once I am told, I will make sure to let you all know. But I don't think this will last too long. Fingers
I
crossed.
hope it is not
after
a
what happened
continuation.
yesterday.
Yeah, we don't have word yet, but we're hoping that is not the stage
It's a
lag.
mouse issue, apparently.
Mouse issue confirmed, not lag that will
He's like, what's going on?
cause us to postpone the games. Hand to brain lag potentially as well. Scara infamous with the brain lag. Maybe it's infecting some other people.
Could be. And as you said, Dig definitely trying to put the pieces back together. I think it's tough when you do so well so quickly with a roster that is a hodgepodge of lots of different players of various notorieties and various skill levels from the outside perspective. Dig did really well with River coming in. It was almost like XU was very flashy and quite good on the LCS stage, but like wasn't ever expected to be a LCS starter and did kind of performed above expectations. River took the team even further than that. I felt like coming in and being like, yes, I am the jungle general you have heard of that can, perfectly macro my team in any language, in any league in the world. And that looked good for a while. And I think Dig are kind of realizing that, yeah, can't do that for 8 weeks in a row, right? It has to be a learning process.
And people start to figure out your patterns as well. Whenever someone comes
so many
out,
people.
yeah, there's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking over his shoulder. They got him a new mouse.
Hey,
the
let's
handoff.
go.
The handoff. Hopefully that fixes the problem. What I was going to say, though, is a lot of the times when new players come in or new teams, and it's your first time really playing together, people don't know how to attack you yet. You haven't watched a ton of their games. You don't know what their game plan is. And it's a little bit more volatile of a situation early on in the season or early in a player's career before they know what you like to do. there's more data for scouting and things like that. So for Dignitas, they came in with a surprisingly strong identity, like you're saying. River's really proactive around lanes. Their bot lane was playing surprisingly well. Blue was better than anticipated, and they had this kind of bot lane wing condition. I think people have wisened up to that potential weakness or like exploitation of how they're going to attack you. And there's been more pressure on FakeGod to step up, and you saw that in his Jace game yesterday. He was trying to step up and ultimately was unable to get the best of Summit, who is an incredible laner.
Yeah.
But you did have the Jace Gnar matchup. He was trying to win that, and it feels like they're looking for other pieces to step up around the bot lane being the main carry threat.
Right, and I think, you know, the early success of FakeGod was a really good weak side play, right? Like, looked good on tanks, like was playing Malphite, was like losing gracefully. That is a real skill, right? That has been some players' identities for a long time, in some cases much longer than their actual versatility is shown. And he did branch out a little more as
so we're in the spectator lobby, and we were talking about how many people there are behind River's computer. Santorin also noticed that, and in the lobby chat said, "Can I join the party?" And Biofrost said, "There is no party." Santorin replies, "It looks like a party to me." And then Biofrost, "There is no party in Bossing Say." So TL...
That's very on brand for Biofrost.
Yeah, TL is very sad that Dignitas look like they're having a fun time behind River's computer, and they didn't get an invite.
Looks like it was a little pit stop, by the way. I think I saw a battery change, so hopefully River's mouse is recharged back to the requisite power level. As we have a little visitor behind us, Mark.
Yeah.
You can't see yet.
Happy birthday, Cold.
Happy birthday, Cold.
Apparently.
Coach Cold,
That's
apparently.
what the sign says.
That's true. If they bring this sign every day, then like
The lower
you know,
third
it could be his
is a little
birthday
in the
every
way.
day.
But yeah, happy birthday, Cold, I
Happy
guess.
birthday.
I don't know how old
it
he
better be
is.
his actual birthday. How old is he? I don't know. It looks like 22.
Oh,
Wait a second.
There's some sign combat behind us.
Wait a second. Those aren't the same team signs. Oh, they're battling. I see.
Yeah, there's enough real estate on screen for both sides. I don't know. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to
that's
be
true. This is quite a wide shot. They can't see.
Widen out
Also,
a little
here we
bit.
go. Let's just move around. There you go.
Yeah, they also can't see the
Yeah.
what we can see. So hopefully this will be resolved soon. I heard River
River's back
is
in,
joining the lobby. All 5 players are in the lobby. Should be in pick ban any second now, and we'll have this game underway.
Alrighty, good news. Good news that the game's getting underway. We have a slew of them today, as it turns out. I thought about it, actually. Not only was yesterday's game move unprecedented in the LCS, but the only time ever we get extra games is during tiebreakers. So this is very special. Usually this is only an end of the regular season thing.
Yeah. Were the old... They still only played 5 games in the old Super Weeks, right? Back in like Season 4.
I think so.
Because I remember those were crazy. You played like 24-game seasons, you know, but you had a couple of these Super Weeks.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Wasn't it like an extra day? I can't imagine
I think it was an
more than
extra
5
day. I don't think we
games.
played more than 5 games.
No, I don't think so.
I could be wrong.
I could be wrong.
Anyway,
I wasn't there.
You weren't there?
2013?
2013, 2014?
No.
They were still there in 2014.
I was going to be there 2014, but I wasn't there 2013. 2013.
Yeah, I wasn't there 2013
coming up.
either. Same.
Yeah.
2014 was when I started working with Curse.
Nice.
Anyways,
Now look at you.
who cares about us? Let's get on to the rift.
I care about us.
Let's get in some draft.
Alrighty. Hey, Zeri's band and Jarvan's band. Good targeting there from Team Liquid.
Yes, the Jarvan for River banned out. So stats, I talked about this a little bit yesterday. They're a little wonky right now in the current meta. It's a little hard to look too far into them. I was looking up jungle proximity stats. There are 2 players higher than River, but those are the players in the jungle position who are benefiting from the roaming top strategy. That's Jose Diodo and Spica. Yeah. So that doesn't really count because your support's with you the entire time.
Right.
Of people who have only played standard thus far, River is the highest jungle proximity in the league. He likes to play this Jarvan champion, set up a fat camp around lane, so no surprise to that banned out.
Yeah, definitely a fun jungle matchup to watch as well. Santorin and River both kind of excellent jungle IQ, I feel like, as players, so should be fun to watch their early game in particular. Otherwise, it's Marksman band everywhere else. Caitlyn, Graves, Jace, and Jinx from Arcane all joining.
So, this is a great segue to my second stat of the day. Where is the jungle proximity ending up? So, again, looking at jungle proximities around bot laners, there's 2 people above Neo and Hansama.
It's in reasonable games, correct?
No, this is not.
Oh,
this is
okay.
the unreasonable
Oh,
game.
okay.
Who do you know? It's Johnson and Tactical
Hey!
again. These absolutely ridiculous games where the top laners disappear. But if you remove those games, it then becomes Hansama and Neo, the 2 highest jungle proximities around bot laners. So both of them do like to try and get their bot lanes going right away. I think that's why you see a lot more of these bans taken away, as well as a really early pick Karma.
Yeah, that might just be regular Karma, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, I've been talking a lot about it. It's not dead. It got changed, it got nerfed, but I think if you look at how it's played in pro games, the roaming top smite strategy was not super affected by those changes. It's a little bit harder to come back into the games, but a lot of the times you're playing for late game hyperscaling anyways, and so it's less about like, oh, I need this big gold injection, just as much as like, oh, that's a nice little extra bit that we got.
Yep. Also, Aphelios Thresh picked nice and early here for Team Liquid. Makes sense for Eyla. It's clearly the champion he's most comfortable on. Has had, you know, ton of highlight plays already. Hecarim picking up steam.
Oh, baby.
Here in the LCS, going to be River's pick. Quite a departure from something like a Jarvan, right?
It's definitely a big departure. There's a little bit more focus on getting to your level 6 as fast as you can, a little bit more focused on jungle clear speed than River has been leaning towards. But you can still go the tank builds, which are still ultimately playing for their team, trying to be set up and engaged for them. Pairing with the Karma already, you can kind of see this idea where River's going to be the one deciding when they go or not. We'll see what else they try and pair it up with.
Ezreal also making...
I mean, that basically confirms Karma bot,
yeah,
I think at this point.
I was going to say. Nia's Ezreal very impressive as well. Definitely a champion you don't see too much of, but with a ton of marksmen taken or banned already, makes sense that they'll line up Ezreal here before phase 2, as Santorin falls back to old faithful, it's Trundle.
Yeah, and like we're talking about with the more tank-oriented Hecarim builds that pop up in pro play, that actually does give a good target for Trundle to steal the resources of, or excuse me, the resists of, and that is exactly what Hecarim does not want, because then you become a very squishy horsey.
And sad times indeed. As we'll see what Teal has here in phase 2. LeBlanc being taken away here. Looks like mid lane might be the pinch, as it has been. Yep. We assume mirrored picks here in phase number 1 if Karma's not going anywhere different.
The mid lane bans make a lot of sense to me, given that if you look at the two pools, there are the share champions, which basically every mid laner has in the current meta, the Corkis, the Victors, and the slower pace things, a couple TFs, whatever. But outside of that, that's where Bjergsen starts flexing into the more supportive things. I was about to mention the Zilean. So you see Dig banning out the more supportive-oriented mid laners, whereas Blue has played things with a little bit more agency. He's played the Zoe, he's played the Ahri, as well as the LeBlanc, and those are the ones that you see TL targeting. So I expect to see potentially some more mid lane bans here. Top Bwipo can kind of play anything, so I can see why Dig is like, he's going to counter pick us anyways. So you're trying to remove things that you don't want to play into, like that Zilean.
Yeah, already banned Jay, so I think that's enough off of Bwipo's pool.
Yes.
Ahri banned. I was actually wondering where Ahri was going to go, because she has been so popular lately, but Team Liquid deciding to ban her instead of taking her out of this phase. That does maybe open up something like Blue Zoe, which is pretty classic with something like Ezreal, but it depends how Dig want to build the rest of this team comp. I feel like, you know, a good poke bottom lane, if that is going to be Karma support, and something like Hecarim kind of gives you the agency to do just about whatever you want.
It's interesting to see that the Ahri prioritized over the Zoe on that ban for the reason you just said, but then again, the Zoe Ezreal poke combo already feels a little weird with Hecarim anyway, so maybe that's why they wanted the Ahri, something that might combo better, pull people in, and then you hit them back again or fear them all the way and get more displacements. Either way, the Gwen ban, like it. It's a champion that's still very powerful in the current meta, and you don't want to give up a counter pick because, you know, FakeGod's probably going to be blinding his champ here.
Yep, definitely don't want to give Bwipo even more options, so Gwen is definitely a smart ban. Ryze to pick up here for Bjergsen. This is a pretty safe blind in mid, and seems to be picking up popularity as well, even though he did get a decent amount of play in the earlier weeks also. So it is now the question of what is FakeGod blinding and what is Blue's counter pick here, and really how are Dig finishing this comp, right? Because there's a lot of different avenues they can take here.
Yeah, I think the Orianna Ryze matchup is one that you see a lot, and if you watch PoE yesterday, he absolutely slammed Palafox's Ryze, so you can potentially win the matchup, and it works well with the Hecarim as a potential option. Gnar, the blind for FakeGod, one of his staple champions, going to be not receiving a ton of resources you would expect.
Biofrost just going through every mid lane mage she can think of. Orianna, though, I think does make the most sense, but there's player preference, plenty of different things you can take if you want to farm it out a little bit more. It seems like they're debating Orianna and Victor, and I think Ahri completes this comp just slightly better.
Yeah, I think what we were talking about with wanting to combo the Hecarim with something so that when he goes in, there's a little bit more follow-up. Gnar will have that as well, but then the Orianna really pulls it all together for the Hecarim, as well as providing even more shields, utility, speed ups, these kinds of things that the Hecarim can make good use of. And the Camille counter pick. Ooh, I like this. It's a very strong matchup post 6 into the Gnar when you start getting legit 100-0 threat, especially when combined with the global mobility of the Ryze. You can expect to see FakeGod targeted quite a bit here in Bjergsen's first Ryze of the season, but plays very similar to the TF kind of, not exactly the same way, but similar game plan sometimes that you saw yesterday.
Yeah, don't want to be sitting in lane just farming, right? Want to farm and then leave the lane.
Yeah, and you can side lane a little bit better yourself. You have a little bit more individual playmaking than the TF sometimes feels like he has.
Yeah, TF just kind of catches waves, throws out cards, and then leaves. I do like this. TL needed, another go button. Bwipo typically wants to be the person wielding the go buttons on Team Liquid, so Camille lines up there, and as you said, is a good side lane threat as well. Plus a perfectly good counter pick.
Yeah, you're going to see one of these team comps very focused on 5v5s in Dignitas with this Hecarim combination. TL 1-3-1 or 4-1, most likely the setup. Handshakes by the coaches. Soon we'll be getting underway.
All right, well, will they win on Cold's birthday? Good thing his birthday wasn't yesterday. That would have been quite...
Ooh, that's a bad birthday
That'd be a
gift.
real bad gift.
Hey, I got you an L. Happy birthday.
You'd be returning that instantly.
You can't return
Unfortunately, it's not
defender.
refundable, exactly.
No, there's no
Final
receipt.
sale on L's in the LCS.
Yeah. Unfortunate. But this is a good week for TL to find out where they stand overall in the league. They want to try and rip off a couple more. Like Jat said, we're trying to see them go 16-2. It'll be very difficult from here. 11 straight wins, but the winning streak starts now for Team Liquid.
Alrighty, let's see what happens here. Team Liquid, favored coming into this matchup as they often are in the LCS. Team definitely still looking good, and level 1, they are going to stream down to the bottom half of the map here as Eyla is going to be the one baiting people in, but Neo could be in a spot of bother. Has he skilled something yet? Is always the fun question, because you shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, he's Ezreal. I don't know if he's skilled an ability point up yet. Takes
There
E
we
level
go.
1. There you go. It's still a win, actually, for Team Liquid. Like, these are the little micro advantage that I love to see teams going for. Is that going to win you the game? Probably not. But if you do a bunch of intelligent things in a row, it starts to add up over time, especially in close matchups. So they're trying to decide who gets the ward XP here. That's what they're kind of debating there. They're seeing if maybe Ryze could have gotten in range for it. I can't quite tell. I think Bwipo getting it is ultimately some of the XP by being in range, I think, is good. So here, the Ezreal Karma lane really wants to focus on poking out the minions and getting the shove. If the enemy minions live, it's very hard for Neo and Bio to land that poke onto champion. So a large part of the Karma Ezreal lane is about controlling the minion wave. When you force Ezreal to take E level 1, that really negates how much shove they can really get versus the Thresh and Aphelios, who can win that push if you play the lane well. So that's actually really a smart play, as well as clearing out the ward. Not only gives extra experience, but it also gives you vision control now. So Biofrost can't just hide in the brush, potentially.
Yeah, Bio it does sweep out the ward Team Liquid had, which was good, but obviously using that Q and missing onto Eyla means you don't really have any threat left, although as it comes back up, things feel pretty good. Playing very aggressive though, Eyla positioning nice and far forward as he and Hans do want to win the race to level 2, and they should be able to do so comfortably here based on current lane positioning.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Dignitas are able to respect that and knock it all in, because Thresh level 2 all in can be pretty terrifying. We've also seen it comboed with Santorin cheese ganks.
Oh yes.
Something he's very good at, but Santorin is actually clearing lots of 2 top, so he will not be comboing on anything in the bot lane early on.
It's a full clear angle today for Santorin up against the Hecarim. Eyla getting real spicy in the 2v1 briefly, but again trying to maintain this control, knowing Ezreal has E. Neo really just at the whim of whatever's happening here, just has to kill out auto attack.
They respected the level 2, and Ayla's got cookies. He was trying to kind of bait them into a little bit heavier trading pattern as people get the last experience they need to level up. That's often why you see the level 2 all-ins work, is you're kind of forcing a trade while that's happening concurrently. Not the case, and otherwise, Team Liquid should have some good pushing lanes in the bot and mid, as well as top will lose early. The Gnar matchup tends to go in favor for Gnar a little bit early on, but once Camille starts getting levels, especially 6, you start getting that all-in threat when you combo with a jungler or a mid laner.
Great from Bjergsen there, just getting the ward down, spotting out River. I mean, they expect Hecarim to pretty much just be farming regardless, but still good to get the information. Bjergsen had the push in mid already. The Team Liquid feeling just fine here, even though, as you said, the early side in top is not going well as expected.
It's those little things, though, that we're talking about. The level 1, getting slight advantage for your bot lane, the warding, being able to track River so you can't do anything crazy, you getting an advantage here now, and finding a flank angle onto FakeGod potentially.
We're in a pretty good spot for this. Bwipo ready with the hook shot. Santorin spotted though. FakeGod's going to back away, but Santorin does clear the vision.
Yeah, this is good, though, because now FakeGod has to respect, is Santorin going to wrap back around on me, or is Santorin continuing on? It's clear his ward not going to be up for about another 10 seconds. FakeGod playing it a little risky, but ultimately just hucking boomerangs until he can put his next ward.
Yeah, great from Bwipo too, like playing way more forward in this lane, because the texture of the lane changes completely when Santorin shows, right? So now Bwipo can actually play up in the lane a little bit until FakeGod has figured out, or at least gotten sick of it, that he expects Santorin to have left already, although he's still here clearing these Krogs. So there are regain possibilities, and Bwipo is going to make FakeGod respect that.
Yeah, but for now, FakeGod is just focusing on trying to get the CS, and eventually this wave will push back into him. This is going to be one of those games where the first couple levels might be a little bit slow. Both these team comps really turn on at 6. The Ori Hecarim combination, Camille and the Ryze. Ezreal Karma doesn't care about their level 6s. This is definitely one where early on there's not too much playmaking available for either teams, and it'll be more about how they execute in these little shells of their compositions.
Yep.
Post 6.
These are definitely all matchups as well that little things do add up, but at the highest level, typically those things neutralize. So we'll just kind of watch the game unfold as Santorin goes back down to the bottom half. Does have Bjergsen behind him. Only level 5 on the Ryze, but I like this invade. They did walk straight past a control ward, by the way, so they are just sending it for this dive.
Yeah, I mean, I think they knew Hecarim was on the top side, so there's no way that there's anyone face-checking in that brush, and they're just going to zone them off the wave. Not really an actual dive attempt, but Bjergsen might get caught out on his path back.
Yep, River and Blue here now meeting him up. Ghost actually popped by River. Bjergsen going to be forced to flash a nice little win for Dignitas.
I think they were expecting River to continue his clear up to the top side of the map, so when he actually cut back bot lane, when they ran through that ward, Bjergsen got caught out of position, loses his flash. Gonna buy Dignitas some nice breathing room there. Nice response to help negate some of what's going wrong in the bot lane, but FakeGod in trouble.
Yeah, FakeGod actually losing the start of that trade. Bwipo looking for the solo kill. Flash Order's gonna do it, and Bwipo finds first blood.
Oh boy, Bwipo finding the timing where he's in the mini Gnar form, barely getting that kill. I think it was about 100 health left on Bwipo. And we talk about that matchup getting tough. It's getting tough before it should. So Bwipo is clearly playing this one quite well. We saw that freeze. And already a slight goal lead for Team Liquid accruing.
Yep, that first blood's going to be nice. 200 plus. Sheen now done for Bwipo alongside those phage components. So, as you said, it doesn't get easier for FakeGod. He's going to shove the wave in. Bottom side, though, Dig going to try and find some counterplay. Neo shifting in aggressively because River's here. Hook going to miss. This kind of looks like it's more about the wave than the actual gank, but River does at least visit.
Just fishing for something there. You feel a little bit under pressure when your topside matchup, which you're expecting to lose at some point potentially, starts losing earlier on. Those little things psychologically add up and make you feel like, okay, I gotta go try and make something potentially here. And it was a quick look. You know, River didn't commit that much, but it does show, and that allows them potentially look for something else. On the top side of the map, you saw TL making a bit of an excursion up there.
Yeah, Santorin back up here. Bjergsen threatening roams now that he's level 6 as well.
Oh, the waves. Not in a good spot for FakeGod. And especially when you see River show in the bot lane, there's no reason for them to ever worry about if it's a bait, you know, if FakeGod walking up in the lane actually is in that position. Here, River has reset, but TL want to attack it.
Yeah, now bottom lane, of course, that gives TL the go, basically to try and find the 2v2. Neo forced to flash, gets ignited. Biofrost blocking down Eyla, gets a good amount of poke, gonna force out the heal, but Hansama onto Neo they go. And now Neo with the shield's gonna have to buy, but Hansama flashes into the alcove. Biofrost looking for the 1v2, gets 1 kill. Now gonna try and line up the second. Eyla low, no flash, but Biofrost can't find the angle.
Whew, that was a crazy 2v2 in the bot lane there. Hansama tried to step up and protect Eyla, and at some point he was like, well, I'm in it. I'm going all the way for the kill. Ends up flashing in, gets one for himself. It does end up protecting Eyla, and you get the kill, whereas the support Karma gets the kill, so still a good trade up for TL in the bot lane there, as well as the CS lead that they've been able to get.
Also, no one died in top lane, which is a bit surprising. Let's watch this one again.
So right away, Eyla wants to get aggressive onto Neo here, combining his CC with the purple gun. So that's why they go for the flash play. Waits for the shift, then gets the root, then gets the hook. That forces the flash out, but that puts Eyla pretty far forward, who have been taking damage from the Karma the whole time. So Hansama right here makes the decision, I gotta get Neo off of Eyla so he can't actually land that Q. And that allows Hansama to find the kill. He plays it really aggressively, but from here, there's just no way that you can actually win this situation. You know, Karma is still a little scary pre-6 just with their base damages.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Hansama died casting his ultimate there, which looks kind of funny, but still has it, didn't go on cooldown.
Aha!
But it is Bwipo still atop the gold charts here, despite the scuffle in bottom lane.
It is one of those things that can make a fight look really bad and become a 2 for 0s. When you get the level ups, you get that little bit of HP, then you get to skill your ability really quickly. They almost maybe could have won that if he could have gotten the ult off, but who knows.
Instead, just a 1-for-1, which is good news on either side. Hans, though, getting the better of the CS as River, level 7. camping here in mid, but pretty tough to poke this Ryze, even though Bjergsen doesn't have flash. He's got Merc Treads, playing nice and far back here near the tower. Santorin's taking the Herald. We'll see if Dig want to move over and challenge. Bwipo is the one with Prio in top lane, but the same is not true in mid, as we can see.
Yeah, we'll see if they want to try and stop this one from going down. Both bot lanes are staying bot, so this will just be a 3-for-3 contest. And River is trying to cut off Bjergsen. They want to catch him in the rotation.
Really nice here. Ball on. Bjergsen now going to be the target. Shockwave lands. They're just going to go for it. Does get knocked back. No ulti committed, but he got chunked massively.
Yeah, there's no flash on him, so they didn't need to use all their abilities at once. That was actually surprisingly reserved by Dignitas, but I kind of like it. They could have committed a ton of abilities to try and finish off Bjergsen, but they respected the fact that Bwipo had the angle to get down there first. So they just chunk out Bjergsen. That forces TL off the objective and allows them to be the ones to actually start it up.
Yeah, still a win here for Dignitas to nab this Herald. Using just enough to make sure they can take over this objective, and it looks like Santorin's not going to be back into contest. Bjergsen not healthy enough to go and doesn't have TP even if he made it back to base. So Dig, a subtle little thing as you're saying, but an effective one nonetheless.
Yeah, Bjergsen lost his flash in that little roam earlier on, and at some point I wanted Dignitas to look mid again and try and set up post 6, that combination, and they did have that look, but Bjergsen was being very respectful. But I like the way they actually found an opportunity. It wasn't a kill, but Bjergsen rotating out a lane is still risky without that flash, and they punished it a little bit. Not getting the kill, but getting the Rift Herald away.
All right, well, 360, 400 gold up right now for Team Liquid. Not a particularly big advantage, and the Herald plates should erase pretty much all of that, if not give Dig maybe a very slight lead. So we'll see where it's going to be dropped for River. Does have the Herald for a number of minutes.
It is feeling like it's staunching the bleeding, though. Already in top and bot lane, you see some pretty big gold leads accruing for Bwipo when that was not really what was supposed to be the strong part of the matchup for him. This is when it is, when you have all-in threat. You can chunk the little Gnar out so hard.
And at it again, Santorin now just rolls on up. The tower dive started early. Bwipo barely needs Santorin's help. In fact, he doesn't need it at all. Now he does! The Mega Gnar transform is almost enough, but Santorin saves the day.
Being a little greedy there, Team Liquid. Bwipo tried to delay the damage on getting the kill so that the pillar could give the assist to the Trundle, but in doing so, it allowed Mega Gnar to come out. Almost allowed the 1-for-1 turnaround, but not the case.
Biofrost with a big chunk on the Hans in rotation, but doesn't find anything else. Ezreal ulti would have been a good chunk of damage. Blue had Shockwave back up as well, but instead it's just Dig taking control of this dragon area.
Unfortunate, not able to find the kill on the top side, not able to make anything happen in the bot lane either. They're going to try and use this Rift Herald down here to start accelerating Neo, it looks like. Not a bad idea. We'll see if they end up dropping or if they just want to get some chunk down this turret.
Gonna have to make a decision soon. Riven not going to use it by the looks of things, but they already got a plate, maybe looking for 2 now. Hans also can't need too much poke here, as long as Bifrost lands those empowered Qs, but seems like everyone's staying and River's leaving, so that is not where the Herald's going to be put just yet, as Hans, like I said, can't need too much poke here.
Yeah, Biofrost being a bit of a sniper right now. This is one of those matchups where you can contest it a fair amount early on, and if you find a lot of kills in the Karma, maybe you run her over, but come level 5, level 6, she's going to start winning that one. So here, this is when the matchup gets bad. Post level 6, in Minion Gnar farm, there's so much engage range on the Camille that the Minion Gnar can kind of get chunked out whenever they want. Here, Bwipo gets the all-in. FakeGod trying to build the rage up, but here, you see Bwipo kind of hold his auto there. He's kind of messing around in the brush, trying to let Trundle get that pillar up. It almost went really bad for Bwipo there. One more auto attack and he would have died, but they did end up getting that assist onto the Trundle. They actually got the kill.
Yep, well calculated at the end of it all. As Matt wants to see Bwipo pop off. You know what? Tune in just about any time he's playing. He'll probably pop it off one way or the other.
He's starting. He's in mid pop-off right now. He's in the middle of popping.
He's in jump squad. About to take off.
Yeah.
All right, well, there's the Rift Herald. In we go. River looking for the first tower here as well, so plenty of threat. Han's going to have to back away. Nice here for Dig to get this extra gold. Should swing the gold back to even or in their favor, as you can see, up about 100, so we'll call it even at the end of the day, but Team Liquid not done here in topside. FakeGod gonna get ulted. Bwipo flashing on in. FakeGod just can't get away. Mininar, such an easy target for the Triforce Camille.
I'm not even played that well on Team Liquid's side, honestly. You can see how bad this matchup can become once the Camille starts snowballing there. Has the Triforce completed already. Tried to get the flash hook stuns connected. Didn't even hit. Doesn't matter. Just ult him. He's dead. And this is the problem with the top side of the map is bot lane has recovered. You drop the Rift Herald down there, you're getting gold, but you're having to commit so many more resources than Team Liquid is having to for getting basically the same effect on the top side. The River is trying to punish now.
The level 8 Hecarim is trying to battle the level 11 Camille, but Bwipo has a lot less health, and now River with the ulti is gonna get the shutdown. Very well played by River.
Nice influx of gold for the Hecarim there. You can see how scary Bwipo is, how much damage the Triforce Q is doing right now. It's absolutely terrifying, but just not enough left in the tank, already low. Greeting out to try and finish that turret, it felt like, given that the bot one had already dropped. And you can expect that after this dragon, Dignitas are going to flip their focus onto the top side of the map.
Yep, plate greed costing Bwipo his life there, but I'm sure he's thinking worth in the back of his brain as Team Liquid are taking this first Drake. It's quite late. Ooh, 14 minutes.
That's a rich Camille, 6,000 gold. Next closest was 5,200.
No.
And yeah, like you said, late dragon, but I think it makes sense given the lack of concern for either team around their bot lane. You saw how much focus there was on the top side of the map, and Dignitas were not naturally winning, so they couldn't have forced it earlier. We'll see if they want to keep stacking these for Team Liquid or if they just grab that on that timing window. It's late enough in the game now that an early soul is not really a win condition.
No, definitely felt more like a, little extra.
Yeah,
and,
like the Hecarim's top. Let's take dragon. Yeah.
And River, I mean, getting that kill did actually keep the gold at least a little closer between the first and or second and third richest people in this game, but it is still Bwipo's kingdom right now. And Bwipo is not, will not, and does not need to leave the side lane anytime soon.
He's about to get all this turret gold for himself as well, so that lead in the game will get richer. The rich get richer. It's a 6 system, League of Legends.
Oh, League of Legends. As Bwipo with the backup here of Eyla and Santorin. Does have plenty of space. Oh, that's rude.
Oh, he's on a pink ward.
He's canceled his recall.
Got punished.
Back. Oh, is this, are they diving this? This is actually like bullying. This is so mean to poor
He's dead,
Gnar.
yeah.
Oh, he just gets stunned. Ulti, click the buttons, hit him. Oh, it's so easy, and Santorin gonna get the second kill.
Yeah, this is feeling pretty rough. In the mid lane, you're gonna see an attempted counterattack for the reset timing that came through here, but Dignitas can't really get too much done. And Bwipo is gonna start working on his second turret of the game. This is feeling like Bwipo versus the world right now. It's a very wide Bwipo.
Thank you out there in the internet. FakeGod definitely getting bullied here, but hey, Team Liquid picked this matchup to try and exploit the mini Gnar, and they are doing a very good job of snowballing that way. Not sure if Hullbreaker is going to be enough to save FakeGod here, but he's going to have to try. You know what I think you should do? Once it gets 20 minutes, go to the bottom lane. Maybe you can bait them so you can take Baron, because definitely the side lane's not getting any better.
I mean, it's at the point in the game now where the Camille can kind of do it alone. You don't need the Trundle anymore, especially since Camille also just completed her Hullbreaker to offset whatever, slight pushing advantage you would have got. Hullbreaker is actually a surprisingly good defensive item in the sense that the majority of it's a giant stat stick for the most part. Yeah. And the majority of those stats are located on the resist and the health. So it is good if you're kind of losing a lane to try and stabilize because you're going to be harder to kill. But for Bwipo, one, he's the one pushing in so he can actually utilize the offensive part of that passive and the damage on the turrets. And two, it makes diving easier because, hey, you're tankier now. So it's still a rough spot for FakeGod to be in.
Yeah, 2 levels ahead. We'll talk about it later because they're trying to get something done on the other side. Ayla going to be the target on the hard summer. We go River with the great wraparound, but Ayla with the hook is nice. The ulti there for River, not in time, and Santorin just ults him and they shoot down the horsey. As Bjergsen's going to roam on in, that's going to force a flash. Everfrost procs, barely missing Bio. As Bwipo roamed on up there with the TP to try and make it happen, but they get no further kills.
River a little ahead of the rest of his team there. You could see the idea of trying to get a bit of a split fight, but no one could really follow up, and by the time his team was in range, River was nearly dead himself, so easy turn for Team Liquid to focus him down, then chase out the rest of Dignitas. That will net them their first Rift Herald, and we'll see where they choose to drop it, most likely mid lane, to keep this snowball going.
Seems like it is Team Liquid, who have kind of been back and forth with, a couple hundred gold here and there. Shotgunning all the way up to 2,500 right now, and claiming that second Herald's going to break the game open even more. And if we had illustrated it enough, FakeGod was down 2 levels to Bwipo, but really just look at the items. He's down a whole Trinity Force. That item is not cheap.
No. That is an expensive item. And the problem compositionally for Dignitas is no one other than FakeGod really wants to be side laned. He's matched up versus the Ryze right now, but the Ryze is probably going to be a tank Ryze build, and then you're actually somewhat good into the Gnar as well. So Bwipo can hold up well against Blue. Blue's going to need protection. That's why Biofrost is up here. Bwipo's respecting that, but no one wants to go toe-to-toe against him. And at the same time, you have another threat in Bjergsen building on the other side.
Oh, Neo caught out of position. Shift flashes towards the team. Biofrost rolls on in, popping the Shirelias, but Neo does at least get saved, but has to use the flash.
Well done by Team Liquid utilizing the 3 part of the 1-3-1. It's often not talked about, but when resources from the enemy are being pulled to one of the side lanes, you can then get aggressive in the mid lane. And TL showing an expert understanding of how to execute this game plan. Usually Ezreal's very slippery, but the Karma shows topside, so he doesn't get that little bit of extra mobility. A nice angle by Santorin forces that flash out with Dragon coming up in 15 seconds and losing that summoner on the primary carry. That's very scary for Dignitas now.
Have to feel like Santorin's just going to look for a pillar, drop the Herald mid, and then they'll roll on over to the Dragon. Bwipo here as well. Also Camille, like we said, perfectly good in team fights. Yes, your stat stick gets turned off a little, but still have a Triforce.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine in this situation considering both of you have it as well. You're in the same situation here. And so while there's technically better items, if both of you have opted into it, it's not so bad. River in a nice flank position here to try and force the rest of the team into FakeGod, who's building his Gnar up. They're going to get this timing while after the Dragon dies. They can try and punish them.
Yep, here's the fight. Hansama, ooh, very good catch there for River. Need to get the kill. The Lantern's out, and they can't quite find it. Santorin diving back in, gets ulted up by FakeGod. Shockwave onto Santorin's going to give him the shutdown, but Bjergsen firing away as the hook does miss, but Bwipo just dives in onto Neo, almost takes him out. The stun lands on the other side. Bwipo with a very fast flash to barely escape.
He's gonna burn?
And the Leanders is not enough to take him out.
Nice fight by Dignitas. It's a little copium given that the Dragon already dropped, but I actually like that a lot better about waiting for the windows of your power than trying to force onto the Dragon early. They waited for FakeGod's Mega Gnar before River went in, and you can see that how strong their 5v5 comp is. This is where they're stronger, right here, and River has a really nice engage, kind of splitting the team up. He gets behind Hansama, who is able to knock into the rest of the team. The Lantern is there to save him, but now Hans is super low. He does get a little bit of a healing from his ultimate, but now you're in this ball comp, exactly where you want to be. You can focus down the Trundle because your team's so much better front to back. Then when Bwipo goes in, the rest of the team kind of already chunked out, is having a hard time following up there. This flash, absolutely necessary. That Karma Q would have killed him as well. Would have been a 2-for-0 in Dignitas' favor. And so you can see there is still pressure on Team Liquid to play these team fights well.
Right, and if Bwipo didn't deal almost 2,000 damage and cleave 80% of Neo's health with one Q after jumping in, that would have been a very different team fight because Neo can actually keep fighting. So I do like that we get to see, you know, what Dig have drafted, what they can play towards. Still behind in gold, still cannot win in the split map, but there is hope here for Dig, and that first team fight is a very nice look for them.
Yeah, this is the really interesting part of the game for me, where you're trading windows of power, tons of summoners down for Dignitas after that fight, and there's no major objective to really play around. So you're just trying to weather the storm until the next Dragon, where you know you can potentially get a 5v5. Team Liquid, on the other hand, want to abuse this as much as they can, both in the side lane and using that Rift Herald in the mid lane. And it's really hard for Dig to deal with this part of the game when it is a more split open map, when there's no objective you have to fall back towards.
Yeah, Bwipo just getting aggressive. There's 4 people now from Dig on the bottom half of the map, but now Bjergsen's got things going on the other side. Does have the TP ready as well. We are well past 14 minutes, so of course the teleports are ready to be unleashed. And Rift Herald was dropped mid, didn't actually clear the tower, which is actually a pretty important detail. And Dig, with a very nicely timed counter punch, are going to take this tower out.
Yeah, that's a huge... Oh, hold on, TP coming in.
Great pillar, good heal though from Neo, runs away, and everyone's out. Oh, both of them are in there. Maybe you're going to keep going. Biofrost's going to pop the speed and everyone's going to run away, but TL really want this tower, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, you do trade turrets out because they lost mid-priority on the kiting out of that situation. It's probably slightly Team Liquid favored, given that they have the 1-3-1 comp. If you can push the enemy further into your base, you kind of shrink the map, and it's easier to move from mid to top and whatnot and actually pull these dives off around Bwipo. But Dignitas, the gold lead hasn't really grown recently. And scaling-wise, I don't think there's a huge advantage necessarily for Dignitas, but compositionally there is in terms of 5v5s. And usually when you get late game, yeah, sometimes you get the crazy backdoor split pushes. We'll see if that ends up happening, but more often than not, it's decided by team fights. So 2K down here, Aphelios scales really well, Ezreal scales really well, Ryze scales very differently than how Orianna wants to scale. And I think, you know, it's just about, can Dignitas find more fights like that last one at the Dragon?
Yeah, carries are on track, right? You know, 2 items for Blue, 2 items for Neo. Same is true for Bjergsen and Hans. Jungler's feeling just fine. It is, you know, FakeGod that's obviously the big one that sticks out. Bwipo is continuing to build power for the side lanes, with the Tiamat now finished as well. But I mean, at this point, FakeGod kind of knows that, like, yes, I mean, I do have to deal with this Camille that I can't deal with in the side lanes, but I just want to get to a team fight, go mega, and hit my ult button, right? Like, here's one very simple job.
Yeah, I mean, the win con for FakeGod is have my... don't die, which is actually, admittedly, sounds very simple, but very challenging. And then have your Mega Gnar ready to go in team fights. That's really what his duty is in this game. But for Team Liquid, they do have some strategical options. Like, okay, you have strategic strategical.
Yep.
You have 50 seconds until the Ocean Dragon comes up. You actually don't need to. You can keep stacking Dragon to win, but if you put Bwipo on the top side and start threatening inhib, you can also let Dig kind of get the Dragon and just play for this side lane split push win condition. I don't think they want to do that. They still want to win the fights. But there is a few more options available to Team Liquid. You don't have to go to these Dragons because Dignitas was not able to stack them up because of how the laning went early on.
Yeah, and you can see Dig just pushing through mid. I mean, they're going to show up to the Rumble every time, right?
They're like, I hope you meet me in the alleyway in 20 seconds in River. And they're like, well, maybe we'll show up. We'll see.
Maybe. Bwipo just chilling. He's potentially in danger, but Dig have to be concerned about Baron as well, as you can see. So fanning over to the top half of the map as TL are forcing them to respect the Baron take, which is a really nice little detail here as Bwipo is trying to get pressure in the bottom lane.
It is a good reason to have kept Bwipo in the bot lane. If Dig want to commit to getting this Dragon, you can actually go flip and go for the Baron instead. You have a pretty good Baron team. Ryze and Aphelios will be able to do quite well. You can tank it up with the Trundle. So I do like this option, actually, keeping Bwipo down there as opposed to putting him top and then having pressure around the Dragon. This keeps more pressure around the Baron, but looks like they're opting into the fight.
Neo again. Oh, he's holding onto the shift. Here's the wraparound. Bwipo going to be the one going in, but the damage isn't there just yet. Blue, though, gets assassinated by Han Summer, and a great ult from River. Maybe going to save the fight, but he gets blown up after the fact. FakeGod hasn't even transformed yet, and Team Liquid cleanly win the 5v5.
Absolutely beautiful engage by Bwipo. He ends up dying for it, but he assassinates Blue. And with the Orianna down, there's no more threat in terms of chasing them in. They follow up, they get the next 2 kills. Excellent team fight there by Bwipo, finding that flank because he was already sitting down the bot lane.
And going to save some precious time here with the Realm Warp and take the Baron off the table as well. Team Liquid with a decisive blow here around that 3rd Dragon are going to get it all off the back of Bwipo's engage.
Yeah, and this is exactly why having him in the bot side is nice, is because when they try and kite down, they're already right there. Lands the ult on, gets the empowered Q. You're going to see him blow Blue up from basically half HP. It's disgusting. Han Sama also actually contributed some damage with the range of his ult. And then here, after the Blue is dead, like I said, no ultimate. It's easy to chase down from there. Finding Neo was critical as well. He's the only other threat in the comp, really. So is a good job by Team Liquid there. Bwipo showing it's not just about the side lane.
No, definitely not. Han's just barely eking out more damage of Bwipo in that team fight. Bwipo was the only player on Team Liquid to go down, so very impressive play out of Bwipo, both in lane and in side lane and in team fight lane, I suppose. And now with the Baron, Team Liquid going to look to put the finishing touches on this game. They're up almost 5k. This Baron power play should be real good if they can navigate their waves correctly, and given that they have, again, this Camille and this Ryze that are already very good in the side lane, they're going to be made only better by the Baron.
Yeah, this is a doomsday scenario for Dignitas here. If you had enough trouble holding them pre-Baron in the 1-3-1, now you have very little hope. The best thing they can do is probably try and attack the 3 if they ever step too far forward. Hans unfortunately has Flash, which makes it very difficult. In fact, almost everyone does, but Bwipo and Ayla, which are not really your targets anyways, so it's going to be hard for Dig to weather this storm, and your best bet is honestly looking for an opportune time to find and engage onto either one of the side laners or Han Sama.
Yep, still Orianna and still Hecarim, right? It's an easy combination to click those buttons as River does get stopped by a very nice pillar, but Han Sama moving forward. Neo flashed there, didn't have shift available, it looked like.
Yeah, Purple Gun on Han Sama meant that if he didn't get out of there, he's going to get rooted up and probably killed. So I like that Neo respected the threat, but sucks that you lose Flash there.
Yeah, now Bwipo is going to waltz the minions on in. Nicely timed here with Bjergsen getting inhib pressure there in the top half of the map, as Bjergsen has been, like, pretty absent, but in a good way, right? Like, he's just making sure the waves, like, he's doing all the admin work, right, behind the scenes as the rest of the team's kind of leading the charge with Bwipo. Now in a bit of trouble. Good flash, but should be fine. Yeah, phase rush is quite the rune. And Bwipo's just waltzing on forward. FakeGod's almost mega. Bwipo's decided that that is no longer a deterrent. And decides that Biofrost is actually enough of one. Are going to walk away alongside Santorin.
Yeah, not able to grab the inhibitor, excuse me, unfortunately. But I like the idea. Instead of trying to save Bjergsen or turn that play, you just go to the opposite side of the map where you now know you have enough people to force the objective down. Woohoo!
Nicely done by Bjergsen. Good little trick.
Broke the ankles on the horse there, ulting out, shifting away from him.
Yeah.
River, really trying to find something. Like I said, you want to kill someone so you don't just fall to this split push, but without his ult now, that means Team Liquid has nothing to be scared of, and they are playing so aggressive.
Yeah, the Magician's back. Bjergsen TP's back into mid lane. They break down bottom in here. They're going to take down mid. And look, that top lane, the Bjergsen prep's pretty nice, but Everfrost onto River with no ulti. It's an easy kill on the Hecarim any day of the week. as Team Liquid are marching towards the end of this game.
10 seconds left on Baron buff. Might have to reset instead, but Bwipo looks like he's coming back for a TP to get triple inhibs, and maybe they just sit on them for the entire rest of the game here. We'll see if Team Liquid opt into a reset or if they just try and end free 30 minutes.
Yeah, Bwipo is going to go here. Just needs to hit the tower once or twice. Turns out it was twice. Takes that out. Neo trying to fight. Pillow there from Santorin running interference. Oh, good little gravity gun. Neo actually getting poked pretty massively. As FakeGod going to be the next target there by Hans. But again, it's all smoke and mirrors as Bwipo takes down the final inhib, and Team Liquid will take likely their final reset of this game.
Slow and steady wins the race, but you got to respect it. They grab all 3 inhibs, a minute until Ocean Soul. They're going to get their reset. I'm sure they're all sitting on a ton of gold as well. Looks like most of them have over 1,000. A couple of them at 2K. Hansama is in particular, is very happy to get a purchase off. And now you have this Ocean Dragon fight. It's do or die for Dignitas. You have to go here. You have to fight it. You have to hope for a miracle because you're 8,000 gold behind, trying to win a fight with no inhibitors up. It's tough because even if Team Liquid can just slow play it, you know, and eventually the minions will win the game at this point. So Dignitas have a very small window to try and turn this one around.
Yeah, we got Death Stance now for Bwipo. Moon Panzer for Bjergsen. IE finish now for Hans. I mean, yeah, like, they have some items, but doesn't matter.
No.
The wallet of Team Liquid once again proving to be too big.
Nice bounce back for Team Liquid, it feels like, after the Golden Guardians game yesterday. This one has been pretty clean outside of a few mistakes, but honestly, that was a lot of it Dignitas having some good looks. And from here, you know, Team Liquid is not even sending multiple people. Bjerg is going to solo the dragon himself, and the rest are going to be on zoning duty. This is the power of Ryze. You're a pretty strong individual champion.
Certainly. And even Ocean Drake, which is kind of a nuisance. The attack speed slow. Not going to be tricky for Bjergsen at all. She just hawks spells at it. You know, he's decided to stop kiting the dragon. I guess you don't really need to once it's pulled out of the pit, but, you know.
Lazy. Work on the mechanics.
Just taking a little break, you know. That's like, I feel like you take the mouse hand off then. You know, you just kind of like do this.
Grab your water. That's the perfect hydration time.
Yeah, he uses lip balm a lot. Maybe that's the time to reapply. Yeah.
He's like, I might be getting interviewed. I got to look my best.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's getting pogged this game?
Bwipo?
Probably Bwipo. It's Bwipo.
All right, well, Team Liquid, like we said, just trying to coast the minions into the enemy towers and finish off the game as Bwipo is going to escape River's final attempt at engaging. Still have Ori, still have Hecarim, but gotta find a good angle, and you have very few left when things are this crowded in your base. This is an Ezreal nightmare. There are super minions in every possible front of this battlefield.
Yeah, and Team Liquid don't really need to do anything. Here we go.
Good little crunch there for FakeGod. Scoops him on in, but Hansama is going to go gold and pulled back by the Lantern. River with the ulti in the back line, but Bwipo, Santorin flashing forward. Hans on a killing spree, took out Neo on the way down, and Team Liquid are just going to clean house. Bwipo obliterates Blue. That's the ace, almost as Biofrost is barely left alive, running into his own jungle. But Team Liquid will take the Nexus, but will Biofrost die in the end? No, Santorin's going to try to chase it down.
No, they're giving him time. Ayla and Bwipo are not hitting the Nexus. They're like, get him!
And him!
Where are you, Biofrost?
All right, the game's over.
I appreciate Team Liquid. Thank you for ending the game. Like we said, great bounce back for Team Liquid this time, and Bwipo continuing to be the force that he is in the top lane. Nice counter pick, absolutely destroyed FakeGod in the game afterwards, and for Dignitas, on the other hand, you can see feeling the effects of what is beginning to be a big slide down the standings.
Yeah, definitely rough there, but Liquid still keeping X2 alive. Very important for you and chat, I know, as Bwipo...
Only 10 more!
As Bwipo grows ever wider.
Yeah, I think that was a really cool game to watch. I thought there were a lot of interesting nuances that you saw Team Liquid being a good team in the early game about how can we try and negate their advantages in the bot lane early on and the pressure that they put onto Neo and those little things, which stops the dragon stacking for the 5v5 team potentially, and actually getting Bwipo ahead, Bwipo having good laning and finding the freeze and stuff. Like, you could see them working so well together as a unit that had a really clear game plan on how to get the most out of their composition.
Yeah, again, like Team Liquid is often a team of, and those were matchups where micro advantages and eventually add up into something bigger.
Yep.
And Team Liquid with really excellent execution of that concept.
And you can see it's a happy birthday wishes for Cole. We won you the game, coach.
He's like, good, because you're not getting Camille again.
I wonder what...
Can't win on my birthday.
Wonder what the birthday dinner is. KBBQ? It's kind of the
that seems
standard.
like the stock standard, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cole should pick something else. You make them go to, like, I don't know, some different restaurant, different cuisine.
I think
Branch
so.
out.
It's a good advice.
Yeah,
in general.
it was good advice. Dignitas needs some good advice about how to recover from here. It feels like they have good ideas of what they want to do, but sometimes these issues start to add up. The bot lane, I think, wanted to win harder, and they wanted to snowball through bot, or not even snowball, but just start stacking dragons, and weren't able to do that. Top went bad a little bit earlier than they wanted, and they had ideas about how to punish Bjerg when he lost his flash and stuff, but just couldn't pull the trigger on him.
All right, well, with another win under their belt, and Jet's bet and Mark's bet still intact, you are going to be joining Team Liquid's Ayla and LeTigress for a Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you, Pastrytime. I am excited to welcome Ayla back to the LCS and to the stage for the first time. Last time we spoke, it was in a virtual context. Can you give me a bit more on your practice with Team Liquid, finding out the news that you would be stepping in and how you've been preparing?
Yeah, so initially I expected to just be fully done with LCS. I was like, okay, it was really a fun time being here. Now it's time to focus on Academy. You know, Academy wasn't doing their best at the time. So I was like, oh, I have so much to work on, like so much to help my team with and like work on myself. So it was a bit unexpected for me to have to play LCS again for a week. So I played 1 week of scrims with the team. The previous week, Core played. So it was definitely like readjusting because obviously Core is different from me. He speaks a lot more and all that. So it was a bit of readjustment and getting used to what I played with, but I think it went well.
Core JJ being one of your biggest fans as well, speaking on the stage last time. Now, it's interesting for you to talk about him being vocal because I've listened to a couple of the games from the audience, and I do feel like you have a strong voice within the context of the team. How seamless do you feel it is to be able to step in, even though you have a different style compared to Core JJ?
Definitely everyone on the team makes it much easier because I think it's never easy to have subs or like constantly rotating players. I don't think it's easy on anyone. I had the same experience last year, but my team definitely makes it really easy for me. They're like very adjustable. So I think it's fine. I fit in well, and you know I do speak less than normal compared to Core. I think I take more of a backseat role where a lot of the rest of the team shot calls I'm essentially following or like trying to make the best play, focusing on my mechanics or individual stuff or working with Hans, but it works well.
Yeah, it sounded really good and it worked very well on the stage. Ayla, thank you so much for stopping by for the interview.
All right, thank you very much.
We got plenty of coverage, y'all. Let's go ahead and head on over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you so much, LeTigress. And you know what? I am so happy that Ayla got to play on stage. He said he expected his kind of LCS. Well, he said he expected his LCS run to kind of be done after Core finally got his green card. So to get this opportunity to show what he's made of out here and then and get to have that in-person conversation is great. But Team Liquid getting it done and keeping Jat just ever floating above his prediction with 2 losses. We'll see if they can do it. 10 more games. Let's talk about how they did it. We heard the casters talking plenty about Bwipo and again what he can do for this squad up there in the top lane.
He was also having a pop-off game yesterday on Viego. I mean, he's just been such a dominant force for this team, not only in getting an individual advantage, but then also being willing to throw that advantage around throughout the rest of the map. He did a great job. I mean, the pivotal fight was him actually getting a pick on Orianna and kind of Neo at the same time in that dragon fight.
And I think you also see, like, based on these compositions, TL did have a lot of, like, tricky parts where, you know, Dignitas has this incredible 5v5 comp on their side, actually. And TL had such a stronger understanding of the side lanes, especially through both Bwipo and Bjergsen with this composition, that I thought they executed really, really well, especially off of Bwipo's pressure in the top lane.
Yeah, and knowing how flexible this team can be, I think this is something we'll see a lot more frequently, is that Team Liquid probably has, like, the best understanding of playing through side lanes of the teams here in the LCS, especially if you have someone who's dominant as Bwipo is. Being able to get his laning phase advantage and then immediately transitioning that to side lanes is something that they immediately did in this game and that we'll continue to see throughout the LCS.
Picked up player of the game for his performance.
There we go.
This one, and so I know we talked about how Santorin with 2 had the most on the squad coming into today. Bwipo's hot on his hands.
It looked like an easy game for TL. I actually don't think it was an easy game for TL. Okay. So they definitely killed FakeGod a lot, but there was a turret taken for Ezreal. Like, this is a possible Ezreal-Orianna carry game down the stretch. The goal was relatively close. I think, like, the second Drake actually ended up being this really pivotal moment in the game, but TL was just sharper. So it ended up looking pretty clean.
You did see glimpses from Dignitas, like when they did catch Bjerg out on rotation, capitalized on that, like them popping that Herald in the bot lane to try to regain pressure for their bot side. And it is kind of difficult, you know, if your entire top side of the map is collapsing. I thought they did a good job of making sure their bot lane did have push at times after that, and again, getting that turret with Herald and stuff. So there were glimpses of things from Dignitas. I think it was just, you know, TL could play through sides a lot better, and they also did approach team fights very well.
Yeah, that seems to be the biggest challenge for Dignitas, is just essentially like early laning phase, specifically for FakeGod. But this game didn't feel too good about for Neo as well. This is, in terms of contrast, this is great for Eyla and Hansama, that they were able to play pretty damn well and have a large advantage in the bot lane early laning phase. But like, this has just been a trend for Dignitas, that they fall too far behind for River to really be able to do anything. So that's the current struggle that they're on.
Yeah,
the
and
struggle bus.
So when we talk about, and I just want to make this a brief conversation because we have a big matchup on the other side of this break. When we talk about Dignitas falling behind, I do think people are going to naturally look up to the top lane, specifically following this game as well, where FakeGod, I think, at a number of times now has been taken advantage of.
Yeah, and I mean, I think another thing we have to talk about is like River's impact. So in this game, he is playing something that's very different than what we saw Dignitas succeeding with in lock-in and then in the early season, where he's affecting his lanes early, he's helping them get leads. He was still doing fine on Hecarim. He was doing his job, right? He was farming into relevancy. He had a lot of good engages in some of these fights, trying to get on top of Hansama or another like big damage dealer on TL. But Dignitas just definitely does not look as comfortable because of the laning woes that Raz mentioned.
And just looking at FakeGod on the player cams after this game, he looked crushed.
Yeah.
Right? So he knows that what's happening is a big problem. I hope they're able to fix it, because going from yesterday, getting solo killed twice by Summit, Gnar versus Jace, and then today getting solo killed once and then killed 3 more times with jungle ganks, not only, like, it's one thing where the team can help him out if he's not getting solo killed that first time. But when that happens, I think trust can start to decay within the team. So I worry for them in the rest of this week. They got 100 Thieves and someday tomorrow. But that is, I think, the biggest thing on our mind.
I'm with you, though. I hope for the resurgence, because this team playing at their best is absolutely an exciting team to watch. But today, it's Team Liquid who comes out on top. We're going to a break. When we return, it's a rivalry as old as the LCS itself, as 2 of our most storied organizations grapple for their spot in the standings and the hearts of our fans. We'll see you here.
I'm excited.
I am too. It's gonna be a good one.
West Coast?
Yeah, and it's very catchy. It's stuck in my brain right now.
Bro, sing it first.
I've been dreaming about it, West Coast. That's how it is.
FakeGod actually losing the start of that trade. Bwipo looking for the solo kill. Flash Order's gonna do it, and Bwipo finds first blood. Hansama is gonna go gold and pulled back by the Lantern. River with the ulti in the back line, but Bwipo, Santorin flashing forward. Hans on a killing spree, took out Neo on the way down, and Team Liquid are just gonna clean house.
We're back to horsing around in this Assist of the Week presented by State Farm. There were quite a few Hecarim plays coming out of the gate this week, and we have a wild one for this assist. This assist comes from CLG versus Cloud9, where Contracts calls in the cavalry after his first engage on Winsome and Blabber. Once Cloud9 were corralled under the turret, the rest of CLG went to work by blowing Cloud9 away.
CLG looking to find first blood, looking to find 3 kills. Is it gonna be enough? And it's a shutdown on 2.